Hello there. Konbanwa, konnichiwa, ohayo gozaimasu, minasan, yokoso, yokoso. Welcome in, everybody. So today we're gonna be. I titled this video before I completed it. Are you guys proud of me? We're gonna be looking at the different decks I used for the Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto retrograde, and I think I looked at the end of Jupiter on the other channel. I looked at the end of Saturn, I believe, on this channel, and instead of doing a Pluto one specifically, we'll just do them all together. And I guess this will be, I don't know how we're gonna do this. My plan was to originally take a break from going live so much because of all the things that I need to do, right? But apparently somebody is like, oh, no, 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 no. You can't proceed with this. Are you crazy? Like, I guess I was crazy for trying to get my degree after all this time. I don't know. So we're just gonna, since I can't, since I hit a little bit of a roadblock over there, I'm gonna put in over here. Why not? Why not? So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pull. I wasn't gonna do any piles, but oh, this will take a while. If I do it that way, it'll take a while. Yeah, because I already looked at Saturn, right? Yeah, because I did the 3, and then I did the overall, and then I did another 3. So this is general. So I'll just generalize it. I'm going to pull 3 cards from each as a, this side, that side, the other side type of energy. And then we'll just see what comes out. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Using the Kawaii Tarot for Saturn, the Wild Unknown for Jupiter, and the Spirit Keeper's Tarot for Pluto. And we're just going to pick. This will be this one. This will be this one. I want to pull the bottom. And then the bottom will sit. Oh, 6 of Pentacles. Okay. So Saturn is bringing us 6 of Pentacles energy, which I love. I actually really love that, with the 4 of Swords in between it. This is a 6 of Pentacles that should be easy. A 6 of Pentacles that you ain't got to fight for. A 6 of Pentacles because somebody won a 6 of Pentacles, because your job won a 6 of Pentacles, because you won a 6 of Pentacles. Again, it ain't something to fight for. It's, by this point, it's deserved, honestly. And if we act in alignment, we'll get it. And look, there's that Fool card coming out with strength at the bottom. I want to see you be brave, is what Sarah Bareilles said. It's funny because that's also a song that one of my friends started singing to me when I was telling her about my whole woe is me story and how my future was whatever, and I didn't want to. Oh, there's the 6 of Pentacles again with the strength card. And she was like, you wouldn't be given this set of circumstances if you weren't able to handle it. Now, when you're in a dark period of your life and you ain't trying to see the light, you ain't trying to hear, oh, you can do this, right? But she would start singing that I Want to See You Be Brave by Sarah Bareilles, and then one of my other friends joined in one day. And I think he's a Gemini. Oh, I don't know what it is about them Gemini men, Lord. I never, anyway, it's fine. So, let's get into this. I wonder if Ashley is a Virgo. Ooh, the Lovers and the Hanged Man. Time to pick it up. Alright. Top card, I guess. Okay. Bottom of the deck here is the 4 of Swords, with the Mother of Swords under it. I've been seeing the Mother of Swords quite a bit lately, and usually it's usually the father, or it was the father for a while at the very least. So yeah, it should be easy. Four of Swords with the Six of Pentacles. And it's going to be easy because with that Mother of Swords overall, we ain't settling for anything less. We ain't playing no games because, you know, we've played those games. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X is about to come out next month. So PlayStation 4, Xbox One, they did. That's last generation. We in the next generation of games now, and if the game that you ain't playing ain't fun, then I ain't playing. You ain't playing, we ain't playing. Right? Because we can afford it. Ooh, the Ferryman with the Lovers. Six of Swords and the Lovers. What did the Lovers come out with last time? I don't remember. Okay. Alright. What the world needs now is love, for real. Okay. I'm going to close my eyes to do this one because the title card in here is a different color. This is the only deck with the title card, by the way. So we'll cut this in half. I guess we go with the bottom card. Oh, darn it. I opened my eyes to put the card down. Oh, well. We'll do this one different. We'll let this one come out. Come on, Pluto. We buddies, right, Pluto? I'm a Pisces, you know. Neptune is pretty close to Pluto. Neptune remembers that you're a planet. Neptune knows you better than any other planet. All the other planets be like, oh, Pluto's so small. Pluto's so cold. Pluto's so far out there. Okay, well. Neptune is like, nah, see, y'all don't see Pluto. Y'all don't know Pluto like I know Pluto. And my Pluto is in Scorpio. And Scorpio is on my descendant. I realized in my birth chart, hey, Miss Vernell. I realized in my birth chart the other day that my two benefic planets oppose each other. Bottom of the deck is the Sun with the Empress under that. So we have the Empress, the Mother of Swords, and the Four of Swords. Again, like I said, we ain't playing them old games no more. We know better now. Like on the outside. And then we have the Sun, the Four of Swords, and the Six of Pentacles. Like I said, that giving should be easy. And we should be giving and receiving because we want to give and receive. It's nothing contractually obligated. It's something that we do from the heart, from the soul. Because we want to. So this is going to be its own pile. This will be its stack, and then this will be its stack. And I guess I will timestamp these. Let me flip these over. Just in case, you know, anybody saw what that top card was. It's so interesting. I went to read, or I went to watch back that video I did the other day with all of the majors. And I was like, oh, I'm going to pick number 17. And I knew that number 17 was the devil. But 17 popped into my mind. I was like, oh, I don't want to pick that. Or I looked at the list and I was like, oh, I don't want to pick that. So then I asked Siri to pick a random number between 1 and 22, and Siri chose 17. So I was like, okay, fine. And it was just about leaving the past in the past and stuff like that. And maybe leaving past versions in the past. Maybe being brave enough to be that side of us that we never were before, that we may not even necessarily know how to be. Right? It's like, I've never done this before. I don't, it's not that I'm not willing to learn, but I don't want to make a mistake either. I don't want to do more damage by trying something new, but the old stuff wasn't working, so hey. Alright. Oh wait, I can do it live. I forgot, because I'm doing whatchamacallit, so I can edit the description as I'm doing these. But it will take a little bit longer, but that's fine. How are you doing today, Miss Vernell? Did I ask you? If I didn't, I'm sorry. How are you doing? There we go. And I'll just go in and type in the time every time. Okay, well, we're about to start now. So the time is 9:40. I'm going to say 9:50 by the time I get this in here. Yeah, see, I could have just did this later. Or I could have been counting. So if you chose pile 1, we're going to be seeing what all of these retrogrades going direct can sort of do for you, what it could have put you in the position of receiving. I'm like 10 seconds late, but that's fine. Timestamps in the description box are approximations. Trying something new is where you grow and get new perspective. Exactly, Miss Renell. I just don't like. I like to be experimental in my own life, but when it comes to like something in somebody else, I like to, try to have a little bit more together. Maybe that's my Earth in Virgo. Maybe not. I'm really trying to activate this Virgo, y'all. I was not for a minute. You're good. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. But so your Earth is in the opposite side of the sun, and your sun is pretty much everything that comes naturally to you. The Earth would be the thing that you have to grow into, that you have to evolve into, that you have to change into, and that you have to decide to be, right? Free will, cycles, and growth and abundance are things associated with Earth. So, you know, I don't know. I like to try to do some weird things in my birth chart, in my natal chart, I guess. I just want to be able to claim Virgo so I can say I have all 12 planets represented, or all 12 signs represented in my chart, I guess. But yeah, I realized, this ain't about me. Okay, so pile one. I'm sorry, I got a little bit distracted, but maybe it'll be something about that. This is about you choosing to build upon certain weaknesses, or choosing to build upon certain strengths to accommodate for certain weaknesses, and making the best. Again, the overall energy, we have the Sun, the Four of Swords, and the Six of Pentacles. The Sun is the warrior in the SKT. Virgos are perfectionistic. Yeah, my dad is a Virgo. And my mom might as well be. But she's a Pisces. And I'd like, both of them can be perfectionists. Like, my mom is such a perfectionist that whenever we're doing something together, I can see how she'll like it while she's still rearranging it. So I'll just be like, oh, why don't we do it this way? And she's like, oh yeah, I really like it this way. I'm like, yeah, I know, because I know my mother, and I know you can be like this. I can be a little bit of perfectionist, but I never get it perfect. And so I just give up. I don't even try. I'm like, I'm not going to get it perfect, so I won't even try. So yeah, it's time for me to try. That's the message to Patrick. I get it, universe. Call me out. Gosh, put me on the spot. Ooh, so yeah, we're starting with the Tower. Saturn is bringing in the Tower. I feel like with Saturn bringing in the Tower with the Six of Pentacles overall, that could be either situations that you were giving way too much to, or situations where you weren't giving nearly enough. Were you actually trying? Did you actually show up? I guess I should put these cards up here as I talk about them. So we have the Six of Pentacles overall and the Tower as your cards. And again, I feel like the Tower, going back to the space of choice, it's like maybe it was easier to do something else, or to be something else, or to not try. Maybe it was easier to give and give and give and give and give, because if you stopped giving, that's when questions of self-worth would come into play. Like, your value is purely based on what you can do and what you can give to other people. And maybe that comes from a certain space of kind of sort of trauma. But it's like, maybe that's the only time you found peace or attention or affection when you were growing up, right? Maybe if you weren't useful to somebody, then you were dead weight, and so you try your best to be useful to people, but you are inherently worthy. And it's not something that you have to continuously prove to people. Now, with the Sun card here, the Warrior, it is to show yourself that way, right? But with the Empress, outside the overall, because I pulled the card at the bottom of the deck, so the card behind the bottom, the Empress, the Mother of Swords, and the Four of Swords, right? That's you coming into this position where you know your worth, you're solid on it, and you can not coast through life, but you can flow in this state of peace and serenity, right? The Four of Swords is in between the 3 and the 5, where it's like, I'm not heartbroken, and I'm not going to be fighting these pointless battles to try to project myself out into the world. I'm going to shine in my authentic light. And for those who are attracted to it, those are the ones attracted to my light, like lights gather. And, we grow and flourish together. And that may be a pretty big change for you. Again, it may be giver, provider. I wouldn't be surprised if Pentacles suit comes up here. Could be a part of your identity by this point because of how deeply it's ingrained in you for you, excuse me, I don't know why all these are coming up, for you to feel like you have some type of worth. And then we have the Four of Wands, which is interesting. The Four of Wands is a card of celebration. It's like the World card. It's kind of sort of a minor World card, and the fact that like the World card is major completions, and that's where we celebrate like major milestones. And the Four of Wands is a card of like minor milestones and minor completions. Now, if we look at like marriage and stuff like that, that's not a minor milestone at all, but more generalized. It can be these public celebrations that celebrate, maybe instead of a minor milestone, it could be a minor milestone, or these markers in life, right? If you graduate from something, we celebrate. If you get married, we celebrate. If you do something worthy of celebration, we celebrate. You've done something worthy of celebration, so celebrate. Four of Wands with the Four of Swords on the outside. Coming off of this energy, this may be you needing to learn how to celebrate yourself. Jupiter is like, oh, how did I mix those up? Jupiter is like, it's time for you to celebrate yourself, and it's time for you to recognize your own victories, right? The Four of Wands comes before the Six of Wands, so this may be something that you celebrate a little bit more privately, that other people wouldn't even recognize, other people wouldn't even know to recognize you for. It speaks to an energy of silent victories because of battles fought within yourself or out of the gaze of somebody else. And so for somebody else, this might be a tower moment for them because you've done something within yourself worthy of celebration. This feels like an internal world card, but an external Four of Wands, right? So maybe other people can't understand why you're making such a big deal out of something, because again, that's like other people don't know what you go through. And so you might start to come into this energy where you're demanding what you're worth. And when you're not going to continue to give to things that aren't worthy of you. And that may come as a shock to other people. And other people might be like, whoa, why are you so full of yourself all of a sudden? Like, you're not too big for whatever. Don't get too full of yourself. Don't do whatever. And it's like, why is it that 9 times out of 10 people tell us stuff like that? It's because they can't use or manipulate us anymore. Oh, I'm not going to give you what you want without, like you found yourself on the other side of this healthy boundary that I just established because of people like you continuously taking advantage of people like me. I've gotten the opportunity to discover that not everything and everyone is worth all that I have to give. If you're a Virgo, you might have chosen this because it's time for Virgos and Pisces and everybody. It's time for everybody to stop giving so much to people in situations that give nothing in return. But once you pull away, it's like it's a tower for somebody else. Also, protect your happiness, protect your joy. Just popped into my mind. Right? Like if you have people who are like always on the negative side of things and like they can't never celebrate or be happy for anybody else but them, protect your joy, protect your happiness, protect your celebration. Don't let those people rain on your parade. And if they're asking you, I don't encourage lying, but you may want to tell them the wrong location because you know that they're going to show up on some foolishness. It's like, oh, yeah. It's going to be at point Z, but actually it's at point A, right? We already done worked through Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P. I've never gone through the alphabet backwards, so if I mess that up, I'm sorry. And then we're ending with the memory keeper in reverse, which is the Six of Cups in reverse. Which to me, yeah, it looks like cutting some people out. Because this is a difference in how the story is told. In someone else's world, maybe it was, like, oh, we were such good friends and you did this for me and I did that for you. But in your world, it's like you never actually received anything. And if you did receive anything, it wasn't anything of comparable weight to what you were giving out, right? It's like somebody gives you a penny for $100,000 worth of work, and they're like, "Oh, but I gave you something. I gave you a cent." I'm like, "You gave me one penny for $100,000 worth of work, and you demand at least $750,000 worth of work every 5 days. 5 cents ain't enough, or what? 7.5 cents ain't enough to cover that." Also, you may have ties with some people in the past, and things may go a little sour. And you may start to see that as you come into self-love and as you begin to see your worth and as you begin to, because like there's this point where you're operating in your self-worth, and then you begin to realize, because of Pluto, now Pluto's coming in, Pluto's bringing the truth of this stuff in the past, and Pluto is telling you, like, this is the reason why you need to transform. And thanks to Jupiter and Saturn, you've been able to get a little bit more clear on this. So first you come into your minor celebration, you're celebrating your shadow work, your light, your healing, your love, your whatever. And then you start to see how things from the past, and maybe it's not even in the past yet, but like maybe there are these good times that you have with people, but then when you take a second to look back, you realize that like those times weren't even that good. And then here comes the Tower, which is Saturn, and Saturn is like, once you know better, you're responsible for doing better. And Pluto, for gosh darn sure, ain't gonna let you go. Now Jupiter is just like, well, you're not gonna progress any further. Like, I'm not gonna give you these rewards. It's like chores, right? If you don't do your chores, you don't get an allowance. Pluto is like, you're not holding on to this. If you don't do your chores, you don't have allowance, you can't pay bills, you living on the street. And I don't care, because I told you. Saturn is like, Pluto ain't playing. This is this is like, I don't know, good parent, bad parent, and then like when both parents are on the same page and like, no, you effed up. And you go to Jupiter and Jupiter's like, yeah, nah, bro, like you effed up. Then you experience some of the harshness of Pluto, because the one that you usually get lenience and kindness from, Jupiter, you just like, oh yeah, no. And so I think that is a Tower moment to other people, because you're beginning to realize that things weren't actually, and maybe that's emotional imbalance. Maybe again you were just sort of looking at the past or looking at everything else from that position, from that space of, the more I can provide, the more worthy I am, and I need to be worthy. I need to provide because that's who I am, and if I don't provide, then who am I? But you had this own internal tower where you didn't remove, you wrote in fine terms, you put a little asterisk on provider. That's like provider to those worthy, provider to those deserving, provider to those in need. But this no longer applies to people who continuously take. And then you create these relationships completely established on what people can take from you. And again, it's like they don't really give anything back, but they have all these fond memories of everything that they got out of you. And you have all these fond memories of, back in my old life, that's someone that I found a lot of worth and value in, or that person made me feel worthy. But again, they made you feel worthy because of some warped thing that probably resulted from some trauma or limiting and preventing some trauma in you, right? They made you feel worthy because they just took from you, and you giving was you feeling worthy. But again, it's like now that you're coming into this space, now that Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto are all direct and all of the pieces are starting to come together, and it's like, wait, hold up. This is looking like a situation that an Empress wouldn't give to, so I'm a Queen of Swords, cut this out because it's Four of Swords disturbing my peace, and I'm trying to be in this Warrior, Four of Swords, Six of Pentacles mode. So that's what I got for Pile 1. I'm gonna leave this there. Actually, I wanted to use these, so I'm gonna use them. I'll pull. Where did they go? An energy oracle card for ya. An energy oracle card for ya. So let's do it. This is interesting. I love this energy. And identity is something that is so, I want to say, precarious. Because with the school I went to, it's a very prestigious university and it's very difficult. It's not easy to do well at that school at all. And there are a lot of people who go to that school who were the smartest in their school, the smartest in their class, and they were probably that way for a long time. And so smart becomes one of their identifiers. Smart becomes a piece that is core and very central to their identity. And if they don't have anything to their identity outside of smart, when they get to that university and they get their first B, their first C, their first D, when it's a lot harder than it's ever been, a lot of people have these identity crises that completely shake them to their cores. And unfortunately, some people don't recover from that. And I was in my little depression group, and I was like, yeah, that's something that I noticed about a lot of people here. But like, I got my first C in the 7th grade, and after I got that C, because I wasn't really trying and I wasn't doing homework. Homework honestly is the only reason why I failed anything. Like the tests and the exams, the knowledge, I got it. Homework, just can't do it. That's a part of me that I'm changing, or I'm trying to change if I would stop facing these roadblocks. But anyway, it's like, since I lost that, I got to pick up, and even before then, I had these other things that are identifiers to me. I don't put all of my eggs in one basket. Like, I'm the athletic one, so that when you have an accident and you can't be athletic anymore, now all of a sudden your whole world is falling apart. I'm the smart one, so when you encounter something that you don't know how to solve, or that like you encounter difficulty or something that you don't know, your world falls apart. Like, oh, I'm the provider, and the provider is interesting because maybe you'll come across a situation where you can't provide anymore for whatever reason and your worldview falls apart. Or you'll provide to some more narcissistic energy that's just, it drains you to the point where you can't provide anymore. Door to romance and strategy? I did not expect this. Bottom of the deck is the world. Oh, I just had to pop my arm. I think this is Door to Romance is number 33. Strategy is number 21. That's a 333. Threes are very catalytic numbers, right? And a catalyst is something that changes something else, but in and of itself is not changed, right? It's like you continue to give and give and give and give and give to these people who never change, who never give back. And it was never in their plan to give back. They just kind of sort of suck you dry for everything that you have to offer, and then they move on to the next thing, you know? And it might hurt with the Six of Cups as the Six of Cups turns in reverse, because it was once upright. It might hurt when they leave, but you know, you may discover that, like, hey, like, what am I actually losing? A leech? A parasite? Somebody who doesn't give anything? Somebody who only takes from me? But if you continue to operate in your worth, it's going to open up possibilities with people who will appreciate you, who will give to you, and who truly, like, this romance could be a specific person. This romance could be a group of people. It could be any kind of love, platonic, familial, romantic, maybe even agape, you know. Um, and it'll come to you. And again, with that tower, there is a moment of adjustment where you have to be strong, and, you know, you just got to be strong. So I forget what I was talking about. The identifiers. Yeah. Allow your identity to be changed. You're more than just one thing. And that's something that I said in the group. I was like, you know, it seems like a lot of people who come here have smart as their identifier. And once they're challenged for the first time in their life, then it's like their whole identity falls apart. And for me personally, like, I try to have a multifaceted identity so that, if I'm encountered with challenge in one area, my whole identity doesn't fall apart and I'm not having this like little identity crisis. Now, I did have a little mini spiritual identity crisis almost a year ago, probably a year ago to the day, maybe. Where I'm like, what? But also I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. Uh, and it's through the space of things like that that we get to elevate and rise into and refine, right? It's not that, like, if we encounter challenge, that doesn't mean that we're not smart. If we have to do what's best for ourselves and distance ourselves from certain people, that doesn't mean that we're not a provider. If we go through a certain like rough point to the point where we can't freely give as much as we could before, it doesn't make us any worse or less off or worse off, right? So you just gotta keep living life, explore more of yourself, and allow those other parts to be pieces of the whole that is you. You know. So we're gonna go to pile 3 next, and then we'll do pile 2 last because it's got the most cards. So sorry. Pile 3. Let's see. I'm gonna say 31:45. So if you chose pile 3, this is going to be what Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto going direct potentially have to offer you in your life. Saturn is the Kawaii Tarot, 6 of Pentacles. And I chose these because these are the cards that I used when I did all of the retrograde readings in the retrograde season playlist. And I also used the Pride Tarot for the space of Venus, but Venus been direct for a minute. Venus actually just went into Virgo. The Jupiter is going to be represented by the Wild Unknown Tarot, and we have the 4 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Over there, I had the 4 of Swords, and then the Spirit Keeper's Tarot is going to be the space of the Pluto retrograde, and we have the Sun, the Warrior, there. So let's get into this. And this will just be more or less kind of sort of what it was all guided to teach you, and maybe how it kind of sort of all fits together. So as we go forward, we move forward in a way that is more aligned with our ultimate destination, right? Because Mars is still retrograde, squaring all of these planets. It was kissed by Saturn at the beginning. And that kiss from Saturn was like, okay, Mars, like, we're all about to go direct. You have everything that you need. We just can't sit around and teach you how it all works. Good luck. Figure it out. And if you're doing it wrong, or not wrong, but if there's something a little bit off, you'll be able to tell because there will be a lot of resistance, right? If you try to force a square peg into a round hole, you're going to encounter resistance, right? So if you're encountering resistance, dig into that, look at everything that you've learned up until this point, and see if you can't find a reason why you may be encountering some resistance there, and then, figure it out as you move forward. Or figure out a different way forward, a different peg, or a different block, right? I do actually want to check and see where Mars is right now. Mars is still 23 degrees Aries, so it ain't quite in exact square with Pluto, not quite in exact trine to the south node, and not quite in exact sextile to the north node. So, but yeah, our own personal actions and our drive and what we do, we're moving the ball forward right now. So let's start with Saturn. Saturn is bringing you the 2 of Pentacles. And with the 6 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, it feels like, okay, so you see these 6 Pentacles? You see these 2 Pentacles? One of these things is not like the other. It's the Pentacle with the blue star. All of these stars are red. I keep doing that. Honestly, it feels like this is an energy that's had its hand in multiple things, and not everything panned out. This is also interesting because it feels like the thing that you wanted to work, or the thing that you were more invested in, was the thing that probably isn't working out, right? It's almost like, since the red pinnacle is lower than the blue pinnacle, the red pinnacle is heavier. It's denser, it has more substance, and then here we see 6 pinnacles of substance if blue has less substance. So Saturn has been teaching you what substance actually is. And that's kind of sort of on brand with Saturn, especially Saturn in Capricorn, because Saturn in Capricorn is responsible for the foundation. And we can't have these unsteady foundations where as soon as the wind blow a certain direction, the whole house come toppling over like a house of straw or a house of sticks. Saturn is trying to build some houses of bricks. And the thing about the heavier stone, the heavier pentacle, is it may require more effort. But again, with the Sun, the Four of Swords, and the Six of Pentacles, with these all at the bottom of the deck, requiring more effort is like it requires more light. It requires you to shine more. It requires you to be more authentic. It requires you to be in your truth more so than it requires you to sort of sacrifice and trudge. And it again, it's like it's related to your authenticity and it's related to your truth. So there may be some sacrifice. I mean, the Two of Pentacles, there kind of sort of is some sacrifice, or that's at least how I'm picturing it, because like one of these pentacles has to go. One of these apples is a bad apple, and if you leave the bad apple in the bunch, it'll rot the whole barrel, right? And who wants to go bobbing for apples and then get like, sorry. I bought some halos and some cuties, and there were these. They were so rotten. I gave it a little. I didn't even look at it. I gave it a little squeeze to see how firm it was, and it just melted in my hand. And I'm imagining like somebody bobbing for an apple, trying to pick it up, and the apple just like so rotten that it just like falls apart in your mouth. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I still haven't eaten an orange since. I got Taurus in my chart. Okay, I can't handle food trauma. um, it's the one that requires more out of you. But it's like it requires more out of you since it's pulling on your authenticity. It's more work, but it doesn't feel like it. It's heavier, but it's lighter. This is that miracle sort of foundation building material, because it's really, really easy to transport. It's very malleable. You can shape it and form it in any way that you want, but it's also extremely sturdy. This is growth potential. One of these pentacles has immense growth potential. The other one has not as much. Jupiter is bringing in the Hanged Man. So this is the gift of Jupiter. Jupiter is like, as long as you continue to pour into the wrong thing, we're stopping the wheel. Also, it's changed your perspective on these, right? Because maybe in the past, the Two of Pentacles was in reverse. And a Two of Pentacles in reverse it's this energy of us having multiple options, but investing in the ones that don't get us anywhere. It's almost like the Seven of Pentacles in reverse type of feeling, almost like a Seven of Cups type of feeling. It's this Seven of Pentacles, Seven of Cups feeling, where we choose the option with the Seven of Cups that doesn't actually get us where we want to go. And that's the one that we tend to with the energy of the Seven of Pentacles. And then we come to this position where we can either Eight of Cups walk away, pick a different seed, or we can Eight of Pentacles continue to put work into it even though it's not going anywhere. But with the Hanged Man coming in with the Jupiter retrograde, through some series of events, it was an opportunity to see what actually had weight and to see what didn't have weight, to see what was worth investing in and to see what wasn't worth investing in. And the thing about pentacles is they take time, they take energy, they take love, they take sunlight, they take water, they take dirt. So there's a certain amount of darkness here as well, because the roots are in the dark, but it grows into the light. But we got to make sure that the roots are all right, because if the roots are effed up, the whole plant is going to die. And so there has been this point of shadow work that supports the life and the light above. And yeah, like in this deck, like we're throwing both of these pentacles up in the air. It's kind of like how, they'll say, like, we're throwing everything at the wall and whatever sticks, right? One of these things is going to stick to the wall. Another one of these things is going to be the poop hitting the fan. And the hangman is trying to come in like, you better, if you can't see, use your nose. Because one of those things will stick to the wall. One of those things will hit the fan. And when things hit the fan, I don't know. Well, Pluto's here, so let's see what Pluto is bringing. The High Priestess, the Priestess. I love this. And what this is telling me is this is an opportunity for us to really listen to our intuition. And to be able to differentiate our intuition from, I didn't show y'all these. So we have the Four of Swords with the Hangman, right? The Four of Swords with the Hangman this is us changing our perspective on what is easy, right? Because it's like maybe it was really easy to invest time and energy into the things that weren't working out. But again, since we were already so invested in it, it's like that, oh, well, it'll pay out someday. It'll pay out someday. It reminds me, spoiler alert, if you ain't seen The Devil Wears Prada, it reminds me of the end of the movie where, I can't remember his name, but Stanley Tucci was in line to work with that one dude and to get a promotion. And he's like, this is what I've been working so hard for. He was so excited to finally be in a position to call the shots in his life. He was so excited to finally get that recognition. But in order to save her own job, Miranda put Jacqueline in the position that was for him. And it's like, Miranda hated Jacqueline, loved her own position more than she appreciated Stanley Tucci. And he was like, it's okay, she'll pay me back someday. And Andy was like, are you sure about that? And he was like, I have to believe it. And so too, it's like, this is almost the space of things that we had to believe in order to be at peace. But like, even this little lamb knows that if those swords fall, this lamb is done for. And so here's the High Priestess. Here's the opportunity through trial and error, or through success, for us to begin to really learn the voice of our intuition. Because maybe at a certain point, our intuition was telling us that, hey, like, it's time to drop that heavy seed or the light seed. It's time to drop the one that ain't going to grow. And it's time to invest in the one that will. And maybe we were like, well, that doesn't make sense because I've already put so much time, so much energy, so much effort into this other thing. And it's like, time, energy, and effort that ain't going nowhere. Time, energy, and effort that's not paying out. It's time to cut your losses. And maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. But either way, I feel like you're going to learn to appreciate the voice of your intuition more. And you're going to begin to learn to trust that even if you can't see how things are going to play out, that when you get that nudge, it's time to go for it. And also, it's you're going to be learning to differentiate the voice of your intuition from the voice of things that you desire from the voice of your anxieties and worries, right? When we really, really, really want for something to work out, it's easy to see everything as a sign of, hey, like, this is going to work out. This is going to come back. If we really, really, really want for things to fail, it's easy to see signs of like, oh, like, this isn't going to work. Oh, this is going to fail. Like, oh, like, you see this? But the voice of our intuition, it's deeper than that, and sometimes it's more steady than that. Now, it will guide us to a change in direction, because I feel like with the Hangman is almost and I guess Pisces and Virgo are on the same axis. It's almost the hermit energy. It's something that teaches us a different perspective, something that we learn and something that we gain from it. So we did gain and learn something from this old perspective, from this old situation. But when we've taken everything that we can out of that, or when we've gotten everything that that situation has to give, when Spirit tells us to move on, it's for us to move on. This is really interesting. This is really powerful. Because Pluto, like to have Pluto give you the gift of the priestess, that's somebody who knows. You don't know why you know, you don't know how you know. And you're learning to trust that knowing, and you're learning to listen to the voice of that knowing. With the with the hanged man, even before it's time to act, you're already in position. It reminds me of what I was saying about the moon card and how I've gone on the record as saying that the moon card and the hangman are two of my favorite cards. But the thing that I don't like about the moon is I'm Pisces enough that I can go with the flow, but at some point I need to see why I felt led to this space. And with the moon card, it's like sometimes you don't see why you were led there until you know why you were led there. Right? Sometimes you don't see why you're guided towards a certain situation because it's not paying out. And with this energy, it's like I can be putting something into something that I can be pouring into something that immediately looks like it's going to be a payout. Even if your intuition is telling you to continue to put time into the thing that hasn't grown yet. And I think it was on this channel, I was saying, that's the difference. It was on this channel because the Queen of Swords came out with the Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Wands was at the bottom of the deck. And I was like, that's the difference between the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles can realize when a seed needs extra love, needs extra care, extra attention, needs a little bit of TLC, when a seed needs a different environment in order to grow. But the Queen of Swords will just be like, everything else is growing, this isn't growing, you're done. And it isn't necessarily for the Queen of Swords to have the knowledge and understanding of the Queen of Pentacles, but it's for the Empress. And the King of Pentacles, Archangel of Mysteries, is behind this. My voice is going out. I'm not going to clear my throat again because I don't feel like it. It'll clear itself. So we have this Empress here. And like I said, so the Empress is sitting at the bottom of the deck of the SKT outside of this. And the Queen of Swords with the World card behind her. So we have the Archangel of Mysteries and the World behind these. The Queen of Swords doesn't need to know what the Queen of Pentacles knows, but the Empress does. The Empress very much so does need to know what the Queen of Pentacles knows, because the Empress, that Queen of Pentacles energy, that Queen of Cups energy, is so heavily tied into her, like that love, that care, that nurture, that compassion, that even the Queen of Wands, that creativity. And it's not that the Queen of Swords isn't important to the Empress, because the Queen of Swords is what, it's like it makes the Empress a businesswoman. It makes the Empress wise enough to not hand her creations over to something or someone that won't appreciate them or that will completely misuse them. Right? And sometimes another thing about our intuition is like we can't really always pinpoint it to a certain thing. And if we are a more logical or practical energy, then it's not always going to make sense. It's like, well, I'd rather put into what I know will pay out. But then something like this happens and you realize that you don't know anything at all. What you knew is how to grow that one type of seed in the one environment that you were in. But the environment that you're coming into, those old seeds can't grow in this energy. It's too heavy. It's either too heavy or it's not heavy enough. It can't anchor itself into that new energy. There's no substance to this blue pinnacle. This blue pinnacle belongs in a blue world. We're coming into a red world of equal give and take, led by the heart, which is that same pink color. Right? So the Queen of Swords has our benefit, but the Empress, she's got Queen of Swords in her. And she knows when she can be, or when she needs to be more Queen of Swords and when she needs to be more Queen of Wands, Queen of Cups, or Queen of Pentacles, or when she needs to be all four of those queens in balance at the same time to really make it work. And that's where Empress energy really shines. When she can do all four things at once in balance, because that's what plants need. That's what it takes to grow things. It takes multiple things, multiple resources to grow something. So can I get the Energy Oracle card for the lovely pile 3 people who I feel like are coming into some real power, but really got to take that change of perspective? Not everyone is necessarily going to go with this. Some people, thank you. Ooh, the man holding a heart, excuse me. With 3 more cards, I'll take them. Bottom of the deck is appreciation. I bet you'll be learning some appreciation. Probably learning to appreciate a whole bunch of stuff. We have the Door to Romance over here. We got the man holding a heart over here. It's like all of this stuff, it's putting us into position to begin to receive. And it makes sense, because what the world needs now is love. And the energy of love is being supported. The energy of compassion is being supported. And the energy of forward progressive movement is being supported, as well as the dismantling of things that don't work. Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto were all retrograde and are now direct. With Mars in retrograde, it's like Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, again, they gave us the building blocks. They laid it all out. They gave us the instructions. But with Mars, we got to IKEA assemble this ourselves. And I don't know if you can take a man home, a woman home from IKEA, a person home from IKEA, and be like, hey, can you assemble this for me? I'm like, oh, sorry, we're short-staffed. And because of everything going on right now, it was all packaged in a sterile environment, so you can take it back to your home and unpackage it. Ain't no need in me putting my hands on it. You have all the instructions. And that card came out, I believe, yesterday, a complete set of instructions. Or maybe it wasn't. Because I know a complete restructuring of home came out. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. There's a throat clear. We have adjacent possibilities, caring connections, and rest and rejuvenation. Adjacent possibilities reminds me of this. 2 of Pentacles. With caring connections and rest and rejuvenation being one of the options that we can choose from. It doesn't tell me what the other possibility is. Adjacent possibilities mean like they're literally right next to each other, just like these 2 pentacles. And it may be difficult for the human mind and for the mind that was conditioned and steeped in everything that you've been raised to see the value in this red pentacle when the blue one looks so much more appetizing. But that's why Pluto is coming in with like, hey, you probably have multiple instances of you not listening to your intuition and things hitting the fan, and you listening to your intuition and things sticking. Some things will stick. Throw things at the wall, see what sticks. What ain't sticking to the wall is going to be the poop that hits the fan. So be careful what you throw, because the fan is right under the wall. The fan is on the wall. It's on the wall. This is a wall with multiple fans on it. Box fans, standing fans, oscillating fancy Dyson fans, all kinds of fans. So be careful what you throw and where you throw it. And if you're going to be throwing poop, make sure you got good aim. I mean, because, you know, you got to clean poop off the wall, but cleaning poop off the wall is easier than cleaning poop off of everything else after it hits the fan. It's like, what was it, Daddy Daycare? That one scene when Adam Sandler walked into the bathroom and he's just like, how is this even possible? and who is going to clean this? Ooh. But again, like, this energy is preparing us for the next phase and chapter of our lives. None of it is necessarily going to be easy. But with adjacent possibilities, caring connections, and rest and rejuvenation, so worth it. Listen to your intuition. Don't listen to your fear. Don't listen to your anxiety. Don't listen to what you want it to be. Don't listen to how you've been raised and conditioned and trained to believe things would be. Because if things in the past were so great, we wouldn't be in this state and position that we're in now. So I mean, and we got the man holding the heart, carrying connections, and rest and rejuvenation. Like in my own little introverted world, like that's an energy of somebody who I can spend time with and still recharge. Now, of course, there are probably going to be times where you still got to get your alone time, but for the most part, it feels like an energy where like you can recharge in this presence. Maybe this is someone who becomes a sort of sense of refuge for you. And again, it's probably it was the Taurus video that Queen Cup just did, and she was like, "There's this King of Swords and there's this King of Wands, and there's this Taurus or Taurian energy that is being considered, and the King of Wands is going to see the things within the Taurus that don't translate to paper, and the King of Swords is going to go off of what's on paper." And again, when we're talking about the Empress and the Mother of Swords, in certain positions, we can't just go off of what's on paper. There are situations, there are times when this energy is appropriate, but for the Empress, if you're seeking Empress energy, and the Empress would attract an Emperor, the Mother of Swords would attract the Father of Swords. But for this Empress, if you want to be an Empress, or if you want to attract an Empress, or if you want it to be an Emperor, or if you want to attract an Emperor, you have to be all elements in balance. Now, the balance is something that you'll learn and you'll pick up as time goes. But again, it's like, it's not always surface level. Sometimes it is a little counterintuitive. And the funny thing about the word counterintuitive is that, like, your intuition will be counterintuitive. When people say counterintuitive, it's like, it's not what you would think it is, but you don't think that it's that way because of your intuition. You think it's that way because of what you've been conditioned to believe. You think it's that way because that's how it always was in the past. And again, how it always was in the past is not your intuition. You need to learn. Pluto is trying to teach you. So maybe reflect back on your past. Look at other moments where you made the decision, you followed your intuition, and something worked out even when you didn't think it would, but you followed your intuition anyway, and you won. Also, there are going to be situations where you didn't follow your intuition, even though it looked like something else would really work out, and you lost. Pluto is like, keep all of that in mind and listen to your intuition as you move forward, because you got a lot of good stuff coming in. And like over here in pile 1, the door to romance came out with strategy. Over here, especially with the tower, it feels like something that pile 1 is still actively coming out of as they're walking through this door. For you, like, you've already been granted this different perspective. You just have to listen to it. Rest and rejuvenation while we have the Four of Swords over here. Hello? You just need to continue to trust this. And again, the thing that requires more energy and effort and attention isn't always the thing that works out better. That's why the Hangman gives us this Two of Pentacles in reverse. It turns it into this. And Spirit is such a big part of that. Like, again, the Empress is also the Queen of Cups. And when the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Swords come together, that's prime thinking woman energy. Right? Because then we have our intuition and we have our logical mind. And a logical mind that works with the intuition understands that sometimes the intuition is right and what's right in front of you is counterintuitive. And the Queen of Swords will yield to the Queen of Cups. Now, sometimes the Queen of Cups, if it's more rooted in our emotions, then maybe sometimes the Queen of Swords has to step up and the Queen of Cups will yield to the Queen of Swords, because the Queen of Cups will be like, okay, this is more rooted in my emotion than it is in actual intuition. And like, there are a lot of senses, and the Empress, she puts them all together. That's why she's Venus, specifically Taurus. Taurus rules the senses. Libra kind of sort of rules aesthetic. So it's like there's this external harmony that Libra rules, and then there's this sensational, internal, tactile, responsive part with the external that Taurus rules. right? It's almost like Libra could be the landscape artist and Taurus is the interior design. Neither one of them are the architect that builds the building. And the Empress knows that. And the Queen of Swords knows that as well. Now, Empress in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse would be like, oh, well, like, let me build it, I can do this, and yeah, maybe you thought you can build and do a whole bunch, but what happened with that stuff? It hit the fan. Intuition is like, girl, you don't know what you're doing, trust the professional. You can put on the fine details, you can do the inside, you can do the outside, but with the construction of this building, do something, work with somebody you can trust, because last time you tried to build something, it fell apart. And Spirit was there while you were crying to Spirit, trying to put yourself back together. And Spirit is like, let's adjacent possibility. Let's close that door and go right next door. You ain't even gotta go. You ain't even gotta drive a mile. You ain't even gotta drive a minute. Just literally go right next door, girl. Drop that pinnacle, girl. Go right next door, and you will find your caring connections, your man holding a heart, and things will be easier. Because of the support and because of the love that's there. The support and the love, especially for Empress energy, it fuels that creativity. When Empress energy is supported, she's more creative. She's more of an Empress. She's more fertile. She's more everything when she's supported. And there aren't a lot of energies that can really fully truly support that Empress energy and all that it does. But with the man holding the heart, carrying connections, and this rest and rejuvenation, your intuition is probably telling you that that person is out there. But with the Two of Pentacles and the Hanged Man, it's like, sometimes again, it's like we think that we know, but in reality, we don't. And all of this, it's like these retrogrades have been telling you when you know, you know, when you don't know, you don't know. And your intuition will be able to help you separate what you actually know from what you think you know, but you don't know. Right? Or it'll teach you how to be open. I don't know. So, middle pile number 2. Pile number 3 was a little long. Pile number 3 was a little long. Hold up, wait. So we're at 1 hour, 2 minutes. I'm going to say 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 45 seconds. So, 02:45. If you chose pile 2, y'all got the most cards, so I did y'all last. This is going to be, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto are all direct in Capricorn now. So I was already using the SKT and the Wild Unknown. And I'm like, well, I've hit a roadblock. I've hit a standstill. You feel personally attacked. Hey, best friend. How you doing? Girl, I felt personally attacked yesterday, so I get it. But then I was like, wait, wow, like... So I'm just really gonna not listen to my intuition right now. Just because I can't see where I'm going. Just because I don't see the whatever I want to... Okay, so yeah. But sometimes we get a little attack so we can grow. How are you doing today? I need to get on Animal Crossing and see what spooky DIYs I got today. But anyway, so pile number 2 is about you. So at the bottom of the deck for the Kawaii Tarot. Oh wait, I gotta pull up my OBS because I was like, my screen froze. For the bottom of the deck of the Kawaii Tarot, Kawaii, we got the 6 of Pentacles. And the Kawaii Tarot is the space of the Saturn retrograde. At the bottom of the deck for the Wild Unknown Tarot, which was the Jupiter retrograde, we have the 4 of Swords. And at the bottom of the deck for the Spirit Keepers Tarot, which was for the Pluto retrograde, we have the Warrior, which is the Sun card. And it's interesting because I'm just now remembering there was some point where that mystic rose, that sun symbol, was popping up on everything. It's on the middle of the the scales and the giver, the Six of Orbs, the Six of Pentacles card. There's this sun in the middle of that. The brooch of the King of Cups, Archangel of Healing, has that sun featured, that sun motif featured in it. And yeah, so let's get into this and let's see what's up. Pile number 2. I feel like I should channel or try to channel something for pile 2. That one song just popped into my mind. It feels like pile 3, but it might be for pile 2. Because I was gonna say, like, what popped into my mind is like, what is it all for? And it reminds me of Taurus, kind of, with the retrograde story. But like, what popped into my mind is like, what is it all for? And then that song, like, yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. I was like, ooh. But I was like, it being good for absolutely nothing, that feels like pile 3. But I guess we'll see pile 2. I guess we'll see. Oh, well, we have the world card. So, hey, maybe pile 2 is figuring out that's good for absolutely nothing. And things that are good for absolutely nothing, I ain't got time for no more. Because sitting outside of this, so I pulled the cards from the bottom of the deck. So the card behind the bottom of the deck is the Empress in the SKT, the Mother of Swords in the Wild Unknown, and the Four of Swords in the Kawaii Tarot. And it's really interesting because the Four of Swords is the card that came out, or was at the bottom for Jupiter, and it was behind the bottom for Saturn. So Jupiter and Saturn have conjuncted a few times. Or, well, maybe it was only twice. They conjuncted in... Did they conjunct in Capricorn? I think they conjuncted in Capricorn at the top of the year. Or at the end of last year. Maybe. I might be wrong. But I think they did. They're going to conjunct again in December in Aquarius. And so there is this energy of like Jupiter and Saturn really playing together. And maybe, I know that when we traditionally think of the astrology, or from certain astrological perspectives, it's like Saturn being in Capricorn while Jupiter is in Capricorn is extra debilitating. Excuse me, like not only is Jupiter already in Capricorn, but Saturn's also home. So Jupiter really ain't gonna do nothing. But it's almost like it's a good thing that Saturn was in Jupiter, because Saturn could help Jupiter. Something about relieving some of the pressure, or something about understanding. It's like when you're in a space and you don't know why you're encountering so much resistance and difficulty, it's almost sometimes, depending on what the situation is, more difficult than if someone was there to explain it to you, right? If you could be like, why is this so hard? And someone was like, oh, this is why. You're like, oh, gee, thanks for letting me know. It doesn't make it any easier, but at least now I know why it is this difficult. And since I know why it's this difficult, then maybe there's something that I can do within my own power to either pick up on the lesson quicker or to alleviate the pressure in some other way that does not keep me from learning this lesson, right? There's a difference between alleviating pressure and going down some shady devil energy pathway of distraction and addiction, right? Because it's like when we see the thing, when we know what we don't know, and we have everything else, we can figure it out, right? And so it isn't actually any easier, but hey, at least we know that we have everything that we need to get through it, right? And the World card is a card of completion. I do want to mention, I already talked about pile 2, but in pile 1 and pile 3, I already talked about pile 3. Pile 2 is sitting in between pile 1 and pile 3. So in that way, it kind of sort of is the middle path. But pile 1 got the Four of Wands, and I was like, the Four of Wands in some cases is like the minor World card. The World is where we celebrate major completions, and the Four of Wands is when we celebrate, minor completions, minor milestones, things that are road markers on the map of life, right? Graduations, marriages, promotions, things of that nature. The World card, some of them are also The world card feels more like rites of passage, right? Like, oh, like you've gotten out of a toxic situation, that's a world card. You've realized the toxicity in that situation, so you no longer continue to place yourself in toxic situations. That's world card. Oh, you've healed some trauma from your past, and now moving forward into the future, you can recognize that, and so it no longer creates the same blockages and resistances. That's world card. It's like these rites of passages where we defeat the devil energy and we put it in the past, and then we come into the sun after the tower, the star, and the moon. We come into the sun, and then when we're in the sun, there's that judgment that leads to the world. But it's like when you're basking in the glow of the sun, and when you're basking in its warmth, it just like it puts the past in perspective. And then you can find appreciation for what you've gone through, especially after you've come out of it. And that's the judgment that leads to this world. Judgment is when we learn the bigger lesson behind the tower moment. It's like, oh, that was toxic, not going to attract toxic anymore. Oh, that was rooted from trauma, not going to repeat that behavior anymore. And again, for pile one, it did feel like internally it was a world card for pile one, but externally it was a Four of Wands. But I mean, y'all get Saturn bringing the world. Saturn is the world. Saturn rules. It's like in the tarot, Saturn is the world. The world card is also fixed energy. Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. But it's Saturn. So I guess, Capricorn and Aquarius. Because Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. This is interesting. And I've already seen the top card from pile two, which is why I decided to flip it over, because I was like, at first I was just gonna keep it upright, but when this turned into a pick a pile type of thing, I was like, oh well, let me turn it over. Just in case. But what's interesting is that theme has come out for every single pile, so it ain't even specific, it ain't even unique. Like if you pick pile two, if you just so happen to pick pile two because you saw the card at the top and you're like, ooh, I want that message. Well, that message came out for every pile. So if that's the only reason why you chose it, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Let's move into Jupiter. Jupiter is bringing us the Nine of Pentacles. The World card and the Nine of Pentacles is a solid foundation within the self. This is interesting. So I'm trying to figure out if this Nine of Pentacles is good or bad. And I don't mean good or bad. I'm trying to figure out if this Nine of Pentacles is self-sufficient or if this Nine of Pentacles is like isolatory, if it's isolatory or self-sufficient. Because the danger with the Nine of Pentacles is we're closed off from expansion, right? When we're so sure of ourselves, it's like you can't teach someone something who knows everything, right? That's another call to pile three, because pile three probably thought that they knew something, wasn't listening to their intuition because they knew so much. They knew so much, and then it hit the fan. Then Spirit is like, you know what now? You know what now? And you're like, absolutely nothing. Say it again. Anyway, I'm sorry. Because with the World card and the Nine of Pentacles, I feel like there was a period for pile two where you were really sufficient, where you were really dependent on other people. And maybe because you found out that there are certain people that you couldn't rely on, or maybe you just put yourself in a position where for one reason or another you had to be self-sufficient. Maybe in the past you viewed yourself as codependent. And there is a little bit of a moon energy here, a little bit, because it almost feels like you viewed and view yourself as codependent because of how the situation worked out. more so than because you were actually codependent. Now, there is some codependency here, but I feel like it's something that you've focused on, like you've hyper focused on. And so now it's putting you in this space where it's like, I don't need anybody, blah, 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 whatever. I can do it all on my own. But it's closing you off to expansion. And the Nine of Pentacles is not where the journey ends. At the 9, you're not open to the 10. And if you're not open to the 10, you can't Page, Knight, King, Queen. And then eventually Empress. And we've been talking about that Queen of Pentacles a lot. And the only reason, like, because I feel like it's not a bad thing to depend or rely on the people that you care about who are quote unquote supposed to be in your life to help you when you need help. It becomes a bad thing when you suffer injustices or pain because of it, right? Like there's a very manipulative energy here where it's like, oh, if you want this, you're going to have to do what I say. If you want this, you're going to have to stop doing that. There's this energy of like self-mutilation, and it's not self-mutilation, but it's like an energy of you shoving yourself into boxes that you can't fit, that are not designed for you, just to get some support, just to get some affection, just to get something that you feel you needed. And again, was there some codependency there? Yeah, probably, for sure. But were you codependent to the degree that some other people may have tried to make you believe, or were you codependent to the point that you see yourself as now? I don't necessarily think so. Because again, like it's not a bad thing to depend or rely on other people. It only crosses lines when it crosses lines. And so I feel like with the world card that you're in now, or I feel like with the position that you're putting yourself in now, you're probably in a position now where you wouldn't have to rely on the people that you relied on in the past, where you can more confidently say that you wouldn't have willingly suffered such mistreatment. But again, like who you are now is not necessarily who you were then. And you can't judge who you were. You can't judge past situations based off of who you are now. Because it's like, of course you know better, right? You can't be like a toddler or a grown adult looking at babies like they're dumb. Like, oh, like you can't even walk. Why don't you stand up on your own 2 feet? Why don't you walk? Why are you always falling down? Why are you always crawling? You can't even crawl. What's wrong with you? And it's like it's literally a baby. Like that's the phase of life that they're in. When you didn't know any better, you didn't know any better. And for you to be extremely self-critical of yourself, I feel like it's getting to the point where it's more of a disservice to you than it is anything else. You need to accept that you were who you were at that point in time. Was the situation less than favorable? Probably, yeah, sure. Because you're sitting at the world card. We don't often come into world cards out of amazing situations and then we turn the chapter into trash. Now, sometimes some of us kind of sort of do. But that's not this energy. And it's like you've focused so much on the negative in the past that you're strangling and choking the positive. You don't give the positive an opportunity to breathe, or you're not available and open to the positive because I feel like there's this fear, like even though you've completed these cycles, there's a fear of repeating them. And I feel like there's so much within you that tells you that that's not the case. But it's like you don't want to go back so badly that you're finding it hard to accept. Even when you know that it's not the case, it's still a little hard to accept it. And that's fine because things take time. It takes time to really realize that we're not in the situations that we used to be in. But Jupiter is almost coming in like, I've given you everything that you can hold yourself. So if you want more, you're going to have to be open. And when you're sitting at the energy of the 10 of Pentacles, you might find yourself in 6 of Pentacles situations. You can't hoard everything and expect expansion because there's nowhere for it to go. So you have to begin to give to receive. It's like you've gotten everything that you can get on your own. If you want more, and you don't have to get more, you can be at the 9 of Pentacles forever. That's fine. But if you want more, if you want expansion, you're going to have to be open to it. Open to this whole new world that is not the world that you once knew. Where you can be vulnerable with somebody, where you can rely on somebody, where you can depend on somebody, and they don't take advantage of it and they don't spit it back at you like it's weakness, where they don't make you feel some type of way for trusting somebody, where you're not beating yourself up over your kindness and your open heart and your willingness to do things for people because of how you've been taken advantage of. This is like really, I feel like all of these are heavy. Maybe I just wasn't talking about them or feeling them as heavy as I'm feeling this one. Because sometimes when we come into the 9 of Pentacles, especially if it pops up with the World card, there's a reason. There's a reason why we're self-sufficient. There's a reason why we don't need nobody. There's a reason. And again, it's not for us to get overly fixated on what went wrong, especially if you've already closed that cycle. You already learned what it is that you needed to learn. You're not going to repeat it. So you can open up again. You can be a little softer. You don't have to be so rough around the edges. Especially if you want expansion. If you're fine where you are and you don't want to grow, then you can stay here. So the reason why I flipped this over is because, oh my gosh, is because the Lovers was at the bottom of the deck. I was like, oh, I don't want nobody just picking the Lovers. But like, we have the door to romance over here, and then we have the man holding a heart, carrying connections, and rest and rejuvenation, adjacent possibility. Like, love came out everywhere. And again, love is one of the energies that the world needs right now. So it's going to be an energy that's supported, but for the type of love that the world is demanding, for the type of love that the world is in need of, it has to heal a lot. It requires a lot of growth. It requires a lot of healing to be open to this kind of love. To freely give and receive in a naturally balanced way. And one of the things, I had a conversation with my mom about it a few months ago now, probably. And it just came back to my mind. It's like, not everyone needs the same thing to the same degree in the same way. Some people need things that we don't need. And we need things that some people don't need. And it requires a certain amount of maturity and willingness to give someone else what they need at that time, in that way. And just because it's not something that we ourselves need doesn't mean that we have to project anything onto that. Sometimes we do just have to be a little bit more kind, compassionate, patient, and caring, and understanding. Like, people require patience. Like, we're literally learning a whole conscious individual being. There may be some similarities, there may be some overlap, yeah, sure, but we don't all have the same needs, and we don't all have the same sort of past. And when love is there, we do it. And then the other two cards, the Page of Cups and the Ace of Cups. So, I mean, the Lovers, the Page of Cups, and the Ace of Cups. The Page of Cups is bringing a message. Y'all see the message down there. It can't be, it's not going to be that dark without some light at the end of the tunnel. And the darker it is, the brighter the light will be. Right? Darkness and light they're these things that play a fairly equal measure, right? So as dark as your life has been, it has the potential to be that light. As dark as the world has been, it has the potential to be that light. But alchemy and transmutation, it requires work. It's not always a process that handles and takes care of itself. And her message will be, oh goodness. Well, the Seven of Cups, the Corruptor. Now, in this deck, every single option is bad. Every cup is linked to one of the seven deadly sins. And I say that we don't choose any of these cups. But luckily for us, the Ace of Cups is already on the table. And the Ace of Cups stands alone. Right? So, with the Seven of Cups coming out for the Page of Cups, it may be the case that there are like lots of immature, not fully developed opportunities and options coming our way. Some of them will play on this self-sufficient, I don't need anybody energy that we've come into. Some of them will be reflective of old cycles. And some of them just will be like completely bogus. And maybe, again, like we don't take any of these options. We take the one that is worthy and deserving of us, that we can also grow with. This cup is huge. Like this bird would never get to the bottom of that cup. These cups, not only are they smaller, but they're occupied by somebody else's personal demons. And again, like nobody's perfect, but it seems like there's better, but it may not necessarily come to you. It might be the one that you have to decide to go and get, right? Because we see the Tree of Life, all 9 of those, with the 10th orb Malkuth, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Malkuth. Malkuth is in the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And it's like, once you know better, you're responsible for doing better. And I think I said that down here with the World card. But that's also reflective in this. Like, once you know better, you're responsible for doing better. So the options that you would have chosen when you were less matured and less evolved, that page energy. And honestly, at the beginning of the year, I was feeling like, page 2.0, like we can be a king or a queen 1.0, and like that's like old news. It's all about the page 2.0 now. But honestly, I'm feeling like page 2.0 is old news. Page 2.0 was early 2020. Page 2.0 was everything that we were in between then and now. These retrogrades were the opportunities to turn pages 2.0 into nights 2.0. And now we move forward with this new healing. Now we seek out the options and opportunities that actually resonate to us and that speak of the space that we're coming into. And as we grow with the new, we become kings and queens 2.0. So I know it may seem like it, but I'm not necessarily the type of person to be like, oh, this is old news, that is old news. But it's like, where the energy is going now, we need kings and queens rooted in new energy before the new energy is even here. That's why the moon is so important, because the moon gives us early access. And this is energy that we have to anchor into this frequency, into this plane, into this domain before it's widely spread, right? It's like somebody has to make the first cell phone. Somebody has to make the first microwave. Somebody has to make the first indoor toilet before it's available everywhere. And some people have to be the first ones who buy into it before other people start to buy into it. It has to start somewhere. It doesn't just appear, right? Cell phones didn't fall from the clouds all over the world, and now here we have this brand new technology, right? It started somewhere. And it's these energies that are being propelled into these kings and queens 2.0 spaces, being propelled to begin down the paths that would lead them to their brighter futures. Because was there a future that you had in the past? Sure. But if this taught us anything, that path of the past is not it. And we have new available to us. A whole Ace of Cups. And again, like, some of us are going to be in the page state now. And that's fine. But eventually, we have to come into the Knights 2.0, and we have to take action and movement from these brand new spaces. We can't just be manifesting new and not doing anything new. You can't be trying to get something new and you ain't doing nothing new. You ain't going to a new grocery store. You ain't doing nothing new in your diet. You're not introducing new thoughts, new patterns, new routines. Like, how do you expect for anything to change? We're about making kings and queens right now. And kings and queens are only made from knights that were once pages. And you're not going to be perfect when you begin. No one's perfect. You'll never achieve or attain perfection. But it's like, again, that compassion, that patience, all of that, it comes into play. So, I don't know. Can I get some energy oracle cards for this pile so I can shut this down? Honestly, I kind of sort of just want to pull cards because I literally can't do anything else. So, but also at the same time, I don't think pulling cards would be necessarily too helpful, because it feels like a lot of what we need to do right now, it's things that we already know that we need to do. Things that we've already been prepared for. We just have to assemble it ourselves. And like, having all of the materials and the instructions, it does no good if you don't actually build anything with it. So, no, we ain't gonna do that. Can I please have a few energy oracle cards for this? I don't even know what to do with myself now that I can't do my work. I mean, I guess there are other things that I need to do, so I will do those things, but still. I was so ready to just like work around the clock and get this done, but you know. Oh, okay. Is this it? Yep, okay. Bottom of the deck is yin and yang. The card that came out is the Thinking Man. Why send a thinking man to do a thinking woman's job? Because the thinking man needs to evolve. Oh gosh. The only reason why I don't like Thinking Man in this is because I associate Thinking Man energy with more fire and air. Thinking Woman energy is more earth and water. Earth and water is about intuitively knowing what something needs to grow. Fire and air, it's about expanding things that already are. And like, there is a certain amount of things that we can repurpose and stuff like that, but I feel like it involves a certain level of ingenuity that also requires Thinking Woman. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull before and after Thinking Woman to see what this Thinking Man might need to also consider as he moves forward. But at least the man is thinking, right? At least he's thinking. We'll get there. Because anybody can be stubborn. So I'm not going to say usually the man is more stubborn and the woman is less stubborn, because honestly, anybody can be stubborn. Where is she? Hold up. Girl, am I missing another card? Please, like, it took me so long to find the man holding a heart. I was like, where did the man holding a heart even go? Woman holding a heart. Maybe I was just going too quick. I was trying to go off of the pictures. Maybe I forgot what she looked like. Please tell me that she's in here. The World, 6th chakra, 1st chakra. Oh, here she is. Okay. So we have 1st chakra Archangel Michael with this Thinking Woman and hostilities. With the Garden in the Gate and 6th chakra Archangel Metatron sitting outside of this. Okay. So with the Root and hostilities coming out with the things that this thinking man needs to consider moving forward, it is, I believe I said it, but it's the energy of the world and the energy of the Page of Cups bringing the Seven of Cups. It's like this thinking man needs to consider that moving forward, things don't have to be what they were. Right? And I think this thinking man, if we're talking about the lovers, with this Ace of Cups and the Page of Cups, which is, it's pretty heavily coded to love, but it can also just be spirit and connection in general. The complement, the counterpart of the thinking man is the thinking woman. So when dealing with the thinking woman, I feel like this thinking man has a lot of things that it needs to let go of. There are root traumas that this thinking man has suffered that makes him hostile in certain situations. And now I feel like, so I'm going to put the thinking woman back in the deck. I'm going to shuffle it up, and then I'm going to pull around her again just to see what the other side has. But yeah, that's what I get for this thinking man. Again, like, the old world is the old world, and you can't move into, like, if you move into a new world with old world energy, you're going to get more old world. You're just going to overlay the old world onto this new space. And it's like, you know, why are you moving into it? Was somebody told me that, like, somebody had moved into a new house, but they brought all their furniture with them, so the new house smelled like the old house. You don't even get that new house smell. It's like, why are you moving if you're not going to upgrade? Like, you're moving to the exact same to a different place that has the exact same area, the exact same size. You're going to set up the house the exact same. Like, if nothing is going to change, why move in the first place? And it's almost like, if these root traumas go unaddressed, this thinking man, because the way I laid it out, like, everything is behind him, right? So he's trying to move forward with these root traumas and these triggers on his mind, and it colors his perception. Because the man, it's more based in logic and practicality than intuition. And so his line of thinking is heavily influenced on what has already transpired and what has already occurred. It makes it difficult for him to see a world that he's never known before, because that's solar energy. That's the energy of the sun. Things that are already known, things that are in the realm of the light, things that have already been expressed. The moon is the feminine. The moon is the things that you can't see, but you can feel, and you don't know why it's going to work out that way. But eventually you'll see that it works that way. Bottom of the deck is contract. Contract with the thinking woman. So contract and the angel of love is coming up for the thinking woman, with Archangel Gabriel, 5th chakra, right behind that. So contract and the angel of love is on her mind. And so it does feel like she's looking forward more. Now, contract could talk about old contracts, but with the angel of love backing it, it feels like she's looking to embark upon something new. And again, with the 4 of Swords and the 6 of Pentacles as the overall, it's not contractually obligated. These are situations where we give and receive freely because we want to. Because that's part of the energy that we're coming into. If we see somebody in need, then we help them. If we see a way that we can positively impact people, then we do it. And it's not this external contract. It's like this internal contract, like a code of conduct. It's her devotion and dedication to be her true, most authentic self. But again, it's a true, authentic self that the warning of pile 1, it's a true and authentic self that is not available for anybody and everybody to take advantage of. It's a true and authentic self in spaces that are deserving. And that's why the angel of love is here. Because where there is love, that's where she will be. She will create love in her environment. And maybe her love will help to heal this a little bit. But her love can't heal this. Her love will supplement this healing. Because his healing is something that he has to decide to do in his own world. His healing is something that will require him to show up. But her love proves to him that it exists, that it is possible, that none of these 7 cups are worth taking, and that we go for the ace. Right? If you're presented with the Ace of Cups, Holy Grail, and these 7 little dusty chalices, you know, sometimes we choose the dusty chalices because we don't think we're worthy and deserving of a Holy Grail. But I mean, come on, come now. We have to see ourselves as worthy and worth it, and we have to let our own pasts go. Because again, when we're children, we do childish things, and we can be a child up to the age of 99. But then at 99 we mature, so at 100 is when we start our adult life. And it's like the cycles are already done. They're already finished. It's already over. There's no need to stay here. There's no need for any of these piles to stay where they were. They all have something new available to them. And it involves love. It involves partnership. It involves community. Because light attracts light. And darkness attracts darkness. And so operate from the space of your light as you move forward, because that will attract more light. So that's where it ends for pile 2. I will get a final message from all of these. I'll title it overall, and then we'll move forward. That was really interesting. And none of these feel exactly easy. All of them feel like it's calling us outside of our comfort zone, and it's asking us to trust and believe in something that we've never experienced. But your intuition should be telling you that it's possible. But to claim it, you're going to have to act from that healed space. And again, it's about anchoring the energy. It's about providing the example. It's about showing people that it's possible. And it's like for some people, the impossible will continue to be impossible until someone else is doing it. Right? How much of what we have now was impossible in the past? And if those people would have listened to all of the naysayers, how much would we be without? We'd be without a lot. And I'm glad that I'm born in the time that I'm born in, because, you know, I do like technology. I do like electricity and indoor plumbing and air conditioning and, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah, this is interesting. I guess I'm not really shocked or surprised at all, or I shouldn't be. But yeah, so that's what I got for all the piles. Now I'm going to timestamp this. We'll say 143.50 for the overall. We'll say 143.55 because I still got to type overall. 143.55. I should have just said 144 and called it even. So I've updated the description box. Oh, 143.55 is approximately exactly when I finished typing it. I've updated the description box as I've typed it. So if you want to go back after this is live, then you can. Which one do we start with? We'll start with the last one on the table, and then we'll work towards the first. No. Yeah. Well, we're going to start with this, and then we're going to do Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto. Because I want to do the SKT. Well, I kind of want to do the SKT first. We'll do it how I said we were going to do it. We'll start with the last on the table and work towards the first. So we'll do these and then the SKT and then the Wild Unknown, and then Saturn is going to come out and close it out because, you know, between Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, I trust Saturn to give the clarity, right? To make it plain, right? Saturn is the teacher. Broken heart and envy. Oof. Door to romance and envy. The world and the door to romance. Okay, thank you. Because I was like, I'm not quite sure how that works. So final message from the Energy Oracle cards, please. Thank you everyone for coming. It was fun. I know I don't really interact and engage too much here lately because a lot of times when I come live with a purpose or with something in mind, and I already go for hours, and if I engage too much it makes it longer. But the input and the presence and the engagement is appreciated because it often leads to something that I wasn't necessarily getting or expecting. Oof. Goodness. This is why the retrogrades happened. This is why they happened, so we can get rid of these attachments, okay? Attachment is number 5. Attachment 5 is a number of change. This attachment that we have, it's not meant to be permanent. We are not meant to be a permanent fixture in these dark spaces. The cards that came out, adjacent possibilities and the door to romance. One of these adjacent possibilities leads to romance. That literally came out for every single pile. And for every single pile, we've had the opportunity to get rid of these attachments. We have to move in that direction. And it feels like this energy has eased a lot since the first time I saw attachment. The first time I saw attachment, it felt like something that was extremely difficult to get rid of, to claim what is better. But it's like, I feel like by this point, a lot of us should know, hey, like those attachments that I have to the past, probably not that great. I should probably let them go. Hopefully we're in a position to choose. And I love adjacent possibilities when we had the 7 of Cups brought by the page with that whole Ace of Cups on the outside. Almost like, I don't want to call it a test, but it almost is a test, but it's just a test because either we'll choose the thing that, you know, we actually want or we won't. It's not really a test. It's like either you'll do it or you won't do it. There is no test. It's just either you'll go or you won't go, right? What are we testing you on? Your ability to claim your reward, right? It's like you've already done the work. Why not claim the reward? Hello? I didn't even get to shuffle these, so I will honor that card. Those did not even shuffle together. There's this song by Justice on the album Woman. I believe the album is called Woman. And I can't... Is that the Empress? Oh no, that's the Lovers. The Lovers with the 8 of Cups. The song is in my mind. I could find it really quick. I'll find it really quick. Why not? Justice is one of my faves, and that, like, I got there last. Oh no, wait, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. No, I don't want to try it for free. Not now. We'll go to albums. It's by Justice. I'm pretty sure it's Woman. Yep, Woman by Justice. Oh, I think it's Stop. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this song. So many nights, so many memories. I'll look up the lyrics and we'll see. That song hasn't popped into my mind in a while. Like I said, I got that album and I barely listened to it. I barely listened to the album. Justice, Stop, lyrics. Oof, well, we'll see. Can I get the full lyrics, please? Full lyrics. Thank you. I remember that one time I looked up Unwritten, and the one line that I was looking up the lyrics for was literally the only line that didn't pop up in the lyrics. And it was in between other lines. I'm like, how you skipped just this one line? So many times we rise and fall. After a while, it's good and all together. So many times we rise and fall, wondering if we'll find it all together. Baby, but all the nights and days we spent together. It's so easy to forget how to surrender, but nothing's ever stopped. Music and lines, rhythm and melodies, take us to the top. So many nights, so many memories. Music and lines, rhythm and melodies, but nothing's ever stopped. So many nights, so many memories. So many times we rise and fall. After a while, it's good and all together. So many ways to lose it all. Living with future, we won't have to give up together. Baby, but all the nights and days we spent together. It's so easy to forget how to surrender, but nothing's ever stopped. Music and lines, rhythm and melodies take us to the top. So many nights, so many memories. Music and lines, rhythm and melodies, but nothing's ever stopped. So many nights, so many memories. But nothing's ever stopped. Take us to the top, but nothing's ever stopped. And then it's the music and lines, rhythm and melodies again until it's over. Wow. I might have to actually listen to that song. And it reminds me of The Garden. Oh. What is it? Oh. It's not Drift Away. Every time I try to think of the Garden song, Drift Away pops into my mind. But I just read the lyrics about there was something that's left in the garden, turned upside down. It's lighter on the bottom. What was it? Everything changes daily and nightly. It was like everything changes. Even when you leave it, it still changes. Organic things are, even things that aren't organic, they're subject to rot and decay because nothing is forever. So I don't know what this is going to be about. But yeah, that line just popped into my mind. Rhythm and melodies will take us to the top or whatever. Like that's, oh, there are 2 cards already here. Okay, so, well, I still want to get an actual shuffle because I am putting these cards away. Sad. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing's ever stops. I guess everything changes. Daily and nightly in little ways, everything changes. Even when we don't think it does. So allow yourself to experience the change. Don't be so fixed on what has already occurred because it prevents you from experiencing what you've yet to experience. We'll put this one here. And it's the 2 of Pentacles. Bottom of this stack is the Queen of Swords. There she is again. Let's Go in the Garden. Is that the name of the song? Yeah. Marceline was singing it. I just looked it up the other day. The 2 of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So, I mean, that Queen of Swords, like I was seeing the King of Swords all the time, but now the Queen is popping out. Now the Queen is popping out. Oop. 2 of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords. I feel like that's a need for us to balance out that logical side of our minds. And it's like that's the Queen of Swords, and the King of Swords can't really combat or negate the Queen of Cups like the Queen of Swords can. And we need to have all queens in balance, right? Allow things to be what they haven't been before by choosing things that you haven't chosen before. And one of the things that you're choosing differently is how you operate and how you navigate. On this side, we have the 2 of Wands at the bottom, which is a crossroads. It's written by Rebecca Sugar. Yeah, I was, so do you remember that dude that I had a mega crush on in high school? that I never talked to. It was the one dude who, not to throw his tea out there, but he kind of sort of talked to everybody. And I was like the one person that he didn't talk to. And I was like the one person who would have actually dated him, like in real life. And then one day he was like, "Oh, you're like a brother to me." I was like, "Oof." First, like he didn't even come out for a long time. So of course I was like, I've never said anything. But anyway, he's the one who told me that that song was written by Rebecca Sugar, basically. Um, yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, and the world card, the world and the two of wands. To me, this is saying that like you're the only thing standing in your way, and it's time for you to step into the fullness of the things that you actually desire now. These new desires, because if you keep running old tracks, like you're not gonna get where it is that you want it to go. You're not who you used to be. The things that used to satiate and satisfy you, you probably don't even want anymore. And you may encounter some people who are like, "Oh, I remember when we used to do this." And I was like, "Yeah, me too. Those were good times in the past when I was someone who enjoyed that." Why can't we do grown-up things now, And it's not necessarily grown-up things. It's just things that you want to do now. The world and the two of pentacles. It's all in your hands now. Daily and nightly. And look, there's the Eight of Cups again. It requires us to walk away from the things in the past. And well, there's the Hangman that just wanted to make an appearance. Everything changes. I don't know. But now that song is in my mind. Nine of Cups. Wish fulfillment. Wish granted. With the Father of Swords. There's the King of Swords. With the Nine of Cups. So for the King of Swords, there is a Queen of Swords, And they probably do sort of have to warm up to each other a little bit. Final message from Jupiter / the Wild Unknown Tarot, please. That's a whole bunch of cards, so this is not gonna. There's gonna be a shorter one after this. Bottom of the deck is the Moon card. The things that can be felt but not seen. That which is done in the dark will come to the light, and usually that saying has a negative connotation. That which is done in the dark or that which is done in the shadows will come to the light, but it can also have a positive connotation of us sticking our stakes in the ground, sticking these lightning towers. What do you call them? The things that you stick in the ground that keep lightning from striking other things. Holding the space. We're holding the space in the energy before the sun rises, but the sun will never rise. Like, it's up to us to put the light down in these situations, okay? Is what I'm trying to say. And the first card we have, of course, is the Mother of Swords. Again. Because she's so heavily, prominently featured. And the Death card. I love that. Because they're both birds. She's going through a space of transformation. Aided by the Queen of Cups. Aided by her intuition. And it's like, as her intuition proves itself to her, she allows herself to believe in the validity of it more and more. And like I said, the Queen of Swords is the only one that can really combat the Queen of Cups. Like if the Father of Swords tried to do it, it wouldn't have the same effect. But she's going to be transforming now. And what's she transforming into? The Son of Wands. This bird is turning into a snake. What? Hello? What's this about? Last time we saw the Son of Wands, this is that Knight of Wands 2.0. And just like the World card and the Two of Wands was at the bottom of that deck, it's about us moving forward in a compassionate way to get what we want. It's very much the energy of the Knight of Wands in the Pride Tarot, which is all about moving forward with positivity and compassion, using your own voice and providing a voice for those who don't have one, and the power and impact of positivity, true positivity. And again, when we're talking about the moon with the Five of Cups behind it, when we're talking about the moon, this is us moving forward, blazing these energetic trails, lubricating the pathways so that this love and that energy can come into being. But we have to be brave enough to put the past in the past. We have to be brave enough to stand and fight. And not only in word, but also in action. And that's something that I could honestly learn, if I'm being real honest. And then we have the Hermit card, the Ace of Swords, oops, and the Temperance card. This Hermit talks about, the Hermit came out earlier, the Erudite. This Hermit talks about us, again, going to the depths of who we are, unclogging that river of love and compassion and understanding that Mr. and Mrs. Beaver have dammed up and made their home in. And while we're down there, unclogging that which allows for a Kundalini awakening, but so many people say Kundalini awakening. But it's a Kundalini awakening because all of the chakras are unblocked and that energy can flow freely between them. And the Kundalini, at least in the school that I learned it in, and when I learned it, it just confirmed what I had already experienced. But you can actually feel your Kundalini energy because it rises from the sacral and it exits out of the crown. And like you can like actually physically feel it. I guess I don't know if you have to be like sensitive or whatever to feel that. I started to feel it when I was meditating heavy, doing heavy shadow work in my apartment last February, when I was like, oh, I'm not working, like I barely have enough to feed myself, I can't pay rent, but I was always so busy with work or school that I never had the time to do what I needed to do within myself to make myself okay and to make myself better and to keep me out of those dark night situations. And miraculously, I was able to, I mean, I'm still here today, so I didn't starve to death. And, you know, my rent was paid, thankfully. And that was a Nine of Pentacles lesson that I had to learn, to be open and vulnerable and willing to be helped by other people. Because before that, I was so dedicated to like, I don't need anybody and I'm not going to need anybody. And it really limited my ability to form solid connections with a lot of people. Now, there were some people that I couldn't help but connect with because we just had that kind of chemistry. I was going to say soul chemistry, but those bonds were too strong to keep myself from breaking. But there were a lot of other ones that I don't necessarily regret it, but I do know that I missed out on really getting to know some truly amazing, wonderful people. And some of them, like, there is a bridge there, even if I don't necessarily think that it's there because I didn't show up as fully as I wanted to. Anyway, you can feel the Kundalini energy come out of your crown. And I say Kundalini awakening because it's the energy of, again, or it's that having the energy that freely flows throughout your entire like chakra system, or at least the big seven, right? But while we were also down there, we found the river of collective love, the river that flows in between everybody. And it's that river that brings this new understanding to lots of things. But this is a watery sword. It's an understanding steeped in that collective emotional body of water, right? It's like we all have our own little well springs of water, but those come from a collective pool. And it's like we happen to discover the collective pool while we went down that deep, if you went down that deep, right? And it brings this new knowledge and awareness that we now have to temper with the world. And I'm going to put this last card here because it'll show what we're tempering with this Son of Wands. And it is the Empress. We're tempering the Empress with that Son of Wands. And it's interesting that we have this masculine element, because if I lay these back down, right, we have this masculine element sitting in between these two queens, or between the Queen of Swords and the Empress. Death, transformation and rebirth with alchemy and healing, especially with the Hermit here, not surprised. But then, we have the Son of Wands, Knight of Wands energy, sitting at the junction point in between the Queen of Swords and the Empress. And again, this is about action. And it's also interesting that both the Heron and the Son of Wands are looking towards the future. And the Heron is protecting, guarding this fire. But the fire is sitting on top of water. So the water that this Heron is guarding the fire from is external. It's rain. It's anybody who would like pee on it, spit on it, project their own bodily fluids to try to put out this fire. But again, this fire is sitting on top of water. This is our fire balanced with our water, protected from the emotional projections of everyone else around us. And it will lead us to standing in the space of our own Empress. Because the thing about our Empress energy, and look at the moon. The moons are the same in both of these. One is golden, the other one is silver. Silver and gold is the Hierophant, the keys of the kingdom. These are the things that we create with our own energy. These are the things that we birth out into the world. These are the things that are pieces of us that take root and grow. And so again, with this Ace of Swords and the Hermit, to get to this Empress energy, we have to discover who and what we are outside of everything else. And again, with the Knight of Wands, the Son of Wands, it's about acting in alignment with this new thing that we're anchoring into the world, rather than the world that we've left behind. Okay, Jupiter, and that's going to be what brings us fortune. That's going to be what unlocks that Ten of Pentacles. Oh my gosh. Well, here's the Empress. Here's the Tower. Now this tower looks more like the tree and the Emperor. So again, divine feminine energy, Empress energy will rescue itself first. And then divine masculine energy will follow. And it's not necessarily that one does it before the other, but it's the old divine masculine, the old Prince Charming paradigm to go in and to save the feminine energy. But that masculine energy is going to realize that feminine energy has already liberated itself. And so this masculine energy is going to have a tower moment where it has to discover what its purpose actually is, rather than the patriarchal, the man does everything and the woman, cleans and is just like, what is it? Seen and not heard. Right? Masculine energy has to relearn that, just like feminine energy has been in this space of claiming itself for years. And if a woman or a feminine presenting person, or if someone wants to be that housewife, if that's their desire, that's their desire. Let them do what they want, right? Sometimes it isn't always like, oh, you just want to do that because that's what the patriarchy told you that you want to do. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not the case. But it's about allowing everyone the opportunity to choose for themselves what they want to do, right? Knight in shining armor, trying to go out and save somebody else, can't even save himself. But he'll learn. He'll learn to save himself. That's the Tower. Final message from... Oh, there's the moon again. Oh, all those cards almost slid out. I would have took them too. Final message from the Wild Unknown, please. 8 of Pentacles. I love that. Y'all know I like that energy. Empress at the bottom. Ace of Cups. Oh, gosh. We'll take it. Bottom of the deck this time. 2 of Pentacles. Another card that we've seen. Since I'm not doing anything today, I guess I'll just keep reading these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see if I can do this. I'm trying to lay it out like the Tree of Life, y'all. But it ain't necessarily working. That's why. Because it's like this. I was like, hello? And then this is, oh, the lovers. The 10th orb sits outside. So this is going to be one of those twisty-turny types of things. So overall, this is about being in between worlds. The world is changing, and we're sort of deciding which side that we want to be on, right? It's like, it's very mitotic. Yes, mitotic, right? Or meiotic. I'm trying to remember the difference between mitosis and meiosis. I know meiosis is half. Yeah, this is mitosis. It's very mitotic, right? It's like we have this one parent cell that's about to split off into 2 daughter cells. We have this world, and it's about to split off, and it's a process, so it's slowly splitting. So there is a period where there is a bridge between the two before they fully separate. And if you're on that bridge, you want to make sure you're more aligned to the side that you want to be on. 2 of Pentacles. Everything is changing daily and nightly with the Empress and the Temperance behind this 2 of Pentacles. So crowning all of this is the 5 of Swords. It's like it's going to be a fight either way. 5 of Swords came out a while ago as Spirit kind of sort of leaving us on the porch and having us find everything on ourselves. It reminded me of the scene from Fight Club when they would get initiated and they would get harassed on the porch, no matter what the elements, no food, no water, and the ones who survived on the porch were the ones that were welcomed into the house, right? But it's a space where we have to learn to pick up our own sword in our own life. Because it's like, yeah, I'm like, we're still getting assistance. But a lot of the bigger things, like, we have to do ourselves, right? So it's like, if we cut this worm in half, Spirit is going to pin these 2 halves together, or pin these 2 halves down so that they don't come back together. And this is going to be like, it's time to actually cut cords, time to actually break chains, actually cut ties. Spirit is going to keep these from reforming when we decide to cut them, but we have to cut them ourselves. And if we push these things back together, then they'll come back together, right? That's the power of our free will. If you want to leave a situation and then turn around and go right back to it, that's your free will. Now this is breaking out into the 7 of Swords and the Ace of Wands. The 7 of Swords being the space of a forfeit of one's birthright. The Ace of Wands being us, taking up that wand that is sort of representative of our power and ability. Right? The right leg of mercy, the left leg of judgment. So let's go down the chain of mercy first. The Wheel of Fortune and the Daughter of Cups. So on this side, fire is turning into water. And we do have Temperance right here behind the 2 of Pentacles and the Empress. Right? The Ace of Wands is the realm of desire and action. It's like the Ace of Wands is the realm of everything that's possible through action, right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. There's always a consequence. The Ace of Wands is the entire world of reactions and consequences. And the wheel is turning in a way that is more heart-centric and heart-focused. And for the world, this is going to be something completely brand new. Or for at least for as long as the history books have been telling it, it's going to be new. Because it's no longer going to be about taking from others what it is that we want. It's going to be about building more collectively. On the leg of judgment, I believe it's judgment. I know this is the leg of mercy. On the leg of judgment, we have the 10 of Pentacles and the 5 of Pentacles. We have 2 10s. One of them is the Wheel of Fortune, one of them is the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is the way that everything was working in the past, right? That's that it's a dog eat dog world. You gotta basically you gotta take advantage of people to get where you want to be in life. Shady business is great business, cutting costs, cheating people out of whatever. And again, this energy is doomed to fail. This energy is doomed to fall. And it may be looking real good right now. But again, with the Two of Pentacles, things are shifting. Things are changing. Ace of Wands is brand new. Seven of Swords, I mean, the Seven of Swords with the Ten of Pentacles, talking about shady business and how profitable it has been in the past. But again, the wheel is turning in a way that is about watery, and it's about the beginning of, I want to say, what the age of Pisces should have been. Because like if you think about the age of Pisces, yeah, there were like a lot of religions that sprouted up, but a lot of religions and spiritual systems are typically based in love and loving other people and treating them with kindness, but somehow it turned into believe what I believe or die. Believe what I believe or else. And it's like, where in this book that you just read is that? Because I thought it was all about loving people and showing kindness to people. Like, love your neighbor as thyself, right? It was about giving and being careless. Like, it's easier to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. But what is it? Prosperity gospel? Is that what they call it? I forget. It's an energy. It worked in the past, and it's probably still working now. But after this wheel finishes turning, it's gonna wilt. The heart of this is the Three of Swords, and the bottom is the Son of Swords. And we just saw the Son of Cups, didn't we? This energy, it leaves too many people out. Like, this prosperity, or the way to get prosperity now, it causes too much destruction. And the world is shifting away from that. It's almost like this is an energy that's hanging on by a thread. And this Son of Swords is coming to sever that tie. It's coming to cut the bridge. And sometimes if you're in the middle of the bridge, you fall into the water. I don't know what the water is. Don't ask me what the water is. It's all a metaphor. But it's about to cut it loose. And not only that, this Son of Swords is like, oh, that's dying. We're going to cut that right now. We're not going to wait for the last rose petal to fall. We'll just cut it. As soon as it starts to die, it's just going to continue to die. Again, this is the Son of Swords. This ain't the Son of Pentacles, where the Son of Pentacles might be like, oh, it's dying. Let me give it more water and, move it and re-up the nutrients and the fertilizer in the soil and give it more time and attention. Like, Son of Swords is just like the Mother of Swords. Oh, it's dying. Boom. It's cut. Moving on to the next one. I can afford to lose this one when I have a million more. It would take more. I would lose more by trying to care for this one than just cutting it and taking care of the ones that I already have, the ones that are growing perfectly fine. And it's interesting because it feels like what this energy has done to so many people and what, like, the havoc that it's wreaked on the planet, on other people. I don't want to say that, but it feels like it's partially going to inherit some of it. On this side, on the side of judgment, on the side of mercy, that's when we decide to come together. And since this decision to come together happens, then it's like the bad, like the worst ending. If this was a movie or a video game, like the bad ending, this is the bad ending where this world, it literally crumbles on the weight of its own lies and destruction. But over here, we decide to come together and we fix things before it gets that far. Malkuth is the Son of Cups. From my perspective, only one of these pathways leads to the Son of Cups. The other pathway is very much not the Son of Cups, and the Son of Swords and the Son of Cups are looking in completely different directions. Right? So in the middle, I guess, we put Dayat. The thing that we can't see, the thing that we don't know, is that this is all in a space of choosing. And it doesn't matter necessarily what the past is. It's how we move forward into the future. So that's interesting. Or not, it's all esoteric. It's all just some cards, who knows? And ultimately, at the end of the day, we only experience one timeline. Six of Cups. We only experience one timeline, so we'll know the world that we know. We won't know the one that we won't know because, we're not there to experience it. So, choose the one that's right for you. There we go. Thank you. Ace of Cups with the Six of Cups. There we go. That was a shuffle. Can I get a final message, please? Just like 1 to 2 cards instead of like 15. Instead of 7, instead of 10. Can I get like 1 to 2, maybe even 3? Jupiter is coming out with, like, we have to remember Jupiter's been in Saturn. Or Jupiter's been conjuncting Saturn loosely and tightly. And they're going to be coming upon an exact conjunction in Aquarius after the solar eclipse. But before the winter solstice, I believe. And like Jupiter's been in Capricorn this whole time with Saturn and Pluto. It's like Saturn and Pluto sat Jupiter down and they're like, hey, Jupiter, we know that you're the guy that everyone loves and adores because you're the one of opportunity and expansion, and we get a bad rep. But we're gonna need you to not do so much because you're enabling them. And if you continue to enable them, it will lead to their destruction. And if you really care about them, you'll hold them accountable this time. And you won't reward them until after they do the work. Because you keep rewarding people before they do it, and then the work never gets done. And Jupiter's like, okay, Jupiter's like, I don't want to be the reason why everything falls apart, so yeah. And then people are like, oh, Jupiter, you so stingy. Oh, Jupiter, when you get so selfish. And Jupiter's like, you know what? Y'all been taking advantage of me. Saturn and Pluto were right. Y'all ain't getting nothing. I'm just playing. I like to have fun sometimes. That's my idea of fun, I guess. Final message, please. Final message, please. From the wild unknown. That's too many. And they didn't. If they're not hitting the table now, face down, I'm not taking them. Whatever hits the table is what we take. Unless it's like one card that flips over, then I might take it. No, I can't be like that. Okay, whatever hits the table. Please drop 1 to 3 cards on the table. Not 23. 1, 2, 3. Between 1 and 3 cards. Not 6 cards. Not, oh, I dropped 1 card and then 2 cards and then 3 cards. At the most, can I get 3 cards, please? And we're just going to keep going until it falls out. See, the problem with this is, like, this deck does clump a little bit. Sometimes. I'll take it because the moon is at the bottom of the deck. And the death card, what's that? No, the tower. And we've seen both the moon and the tower. The Daughter of Swords. The new way. It's about moving forward in a new way. One of these and Judgment. The moon, the tower, and Judgment are the bottom 3 cards. One of these trees is going to fall. One of these trees will stand. Like both of these trees, they create a portal in between them. And when one of these trees is struck, the portal collapses. The bridge in between worlds, it's the severing happens. And it's judgment. It's self-judgment, it's external judgment, it's all of it. But it's the brand new way to do things. Top of the deck is the Hermit. And we saw the Ace of Swords with the Hermit before. This is us picking up that Ace of Swords and moving in a brand new direction, aligned with, where it is that we actually want to go. So your life is in your hands. You make whatever choice you want. You can do what you want to do and live in color. And live in color. All right. So Pluto, ooh, coming out with the Two of Cups and that Sun card, the joined one. I kind of want two cards because I want I Ching. I haven't I Chinged anything. The Chariot and the joined one. Yeah, see, it's time to move. Pluto is like, all right, it's time to move. It's time to move. If you want your lovers from the underworld, now is the time to take them. Make sure you cross the finish line before you try to look back. Orpheus's. And I talked about Orpheus yesterday, didn't I? All right. Is that the Lovers? Nope, that's Justice. No, what is this? Oh, the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords is with the Chariot. I was like, is that the Lovers? No, it's Justice. No, it's the Three of Swords. Okay, final message, please. I would really like two cards. Two cards would be so fetch. Regina George was a hater. She was a hater. She was hating on Karen. She was hating on Gretchen. She was hating on Katie. And all to keep her place at the top. If Regina, if Mean Girls proved anything, if Regina would have supported Gretchen, fetch would have happened. We saw when Katie and Janice and Damien were trying to get at Regina, everybody started doing what Regina was doing. People showed up with the nipples cut out of their shirts, revealing the bras underneath. Regina could have made fetch happen if Regina was actually Gretchen's friend. If Regina was actually on Gretchen's side, all Regina had to do was say fetch one time. Everybody in that school would have been saying it. But Regina's not going to let anything happen that Gretchen started. Of course not. Why would she do that? I never thought about that until literally just now. Fetch could have happened in that movie. All Regina had to do was say it. But again, she's not in a position to do that. Why would she do that? And then she talked about everybody. And then you go to Katie, the new girl, and you're like, oh, Gretchen is this, Gretchen is that. And also, like, no one's going to vote for Karen. Honestly, Karen, I forget her name all the time. Okay, sure, we'll take it. Goodness. The Tower is at the bottom of the deck. The Tower is Plutonian energy through the vein of Scorpio. Mars is the Tower, so that's both Aries and Scorpio, but Pluto modernly rules Scorpio. So that's why I'm giving it to Pluto. We have the Destroyer, the Keeper, and the Angel. The Ten of Swords, the enlightened fool, the awakened fool, the fool who's made it through the world one time, and so they know how everything works, and Temperance. With the Tower at the bottom, this is everything falling apart so that something new can come in. This is Sagittarius, Air / Uranus, and the Sun in Gemini. So we're starting with Gemini energy. Through the portal of the Keeper, we're starting with Gemini energy, and then through the portal of the Keeper, the rest of the mutable signs are coming in. Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. And that's the space of transition into this new world that's already fixed. The energy of the new world is already set. We're in this space of aligning with it down here. If it's coming into the physical, it's more often than not already established in the spiritual and the mental. We just have to align with it. And to align with it, it's like not only do we have to let things go, and then there's that brand new world under this tower. After the tower comes the new world. It's like not only do we need to allow certain things to fall, we also have to do our part and put an end to certain things in our own lives. If you shovel an inch of snow, Spirit will shovel a foot, but if you're not doing anything, Spirit's not going to just do it for you. It's like with this mirror and temperance, it's an energy of amplification and magnification. But what's amplified and magnified is the work that you do. Again, if you don't do anything, 0 times anything is 0. So it doesn't matter how many times you multiply it. If you don't put in anything, you don't get out anything. Queen of Swords, again, 3 of Swords, and the Priestess. This is about us finding peace with our pasts and putting it to rest. Putting the past to rest in a way where we take the lessons, but we release the hold and the grip that it has on the future, on our future. We have the Priestess and the Keeper. The Priestess and the Keeper is interesting because, again, the Keeper is the Fool, and the Fool is us. Everything else, like when we see temperance, like, can we be in the energy of temperance? Yes, but we are the Fool at the space of temperance. We are the Fool at the space of the High Priestess. We are the Fool at the space of the Tower. The only card that really represents the self in the majors is the Fool. And the major, like from 1 to 21, from the Magician to the World, that's the Fool's journey through all of these like archetypal energies. But it's like, just because you go to a certain place or just because you're coming out of a certain place doesn't necessarily mean you learned anything. But this Fool has learned. This Fool has gone through the world and has picked up something from every space that it's been in. So that's why the Keeper has part of the vision of the Priestess. And because the Keeper has the vision of the Priestess foretells this falling and this space of transmutation, of pouring from one into the other. But honestly, it kind of feels like it's separating it out, right? Separating the wheat from the chaff or whatever. It's like the creme de la creme isn't that the cream that rises to the top and that's the best? And then whoever's left gets what's left. It reminds me of that one I Ching that's like, there's this meeting going down, there are these things being handed out, accolades are being dispersed and stuff, but you don't want to be the last one to the meeting. The last one will receive misfortune. We're in this space of ending global, national, international, and communal karmic cycles. And if we don't end them properly, then they will repeat. And I don't know if we can afford to repeat some of the things that we've done in the past. Because it's like the stakes are higher now. It's like we haven't matured at all, really. But, instead of toy guns, we're going to start playing with real guns. I had a dream one time where we were playing with real guns like they were toy guns. I'm like, oh my gosh. Somebody was like, yeah, my dad has a bunch of guns in the bed of his truck or whatever. So we'll just pull them out and start shooting at each other. I'm like, oh my goodness, who thinks that this is a good idea? Now, fortunately, I don't think anybody just like straight up died in that dream, because I wouldn't have been able to handle that. I've seen some gruesome things in dreams, and I'm just like, I could have done without seeing that. Thank you. But anyway, with the Keeper sort of sitting in the middle of all of this, she knows that all of this is occurring or will take place. This is why it's important for her to follow her intuition and to position herself and to do the work within herself to make sure that she is on the lighter side when it all shakes out. Goodness. And again, It's like there are certain things, like if you do something to avert disaster, then there's the healer. If you do something to avert disaster, then you don't experience it, right? If spirit's like, don't do this because something will go down. Sometimes, we turn on the news and we're like, oh my gosh, I could have been there. Something told me not to go there. Sometimes we don't see what the disaster is until later, much later, right? Until, the victims and like, this is where all the crimes have happened. It's best to trust it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if nothing happens, then hey, at least you've grown and matured and you've become more of who, you want to be. Because again, we only experience one side. Ooh, I just got one card. Can I get one more? I just I-Ching it with the bottom of the deck. And the bottom of the deck is the Priestess. This card is coming out between the Knight of Wands and the title card. Ooh, there's that Knight of Wands again. We saw the Son of Wands, didn't we? The Knight of Cups. The Shining Dew. The Knight of Cups was actually the card that was featured today. And this was about moving forward with our heart, following our intuition, even when we don't know where it's taking us. And it looked like it's driving us into a dead end. But that dead end is like platform 9 3/4. If you run at it head first and if you take the leap, you'll find yourself in this new world. You'll find yourself beyond what looked like a dead end. It's not. And the High Priestess knows it. Following your intuition is right there. I do like it this way, though, because we're looking back at the High Priestess like, are you sure? Are you sure about this? And the High Priestess is like, yes. And it's like, okay. Like, if this were like the Three of Swords or a heavier energy, then it's like, we may be tempted to go back to that. Under the High Priestess is the Three of Swords. I didn't even look at it, but as I'm talking about it, there's the Three of Swords. But the High Priestess is like, only pain lies back there. Go on into, go claim your new beginning. The Knight of Cups. I have to get that wake up call to be like, wow, like, am I really gonna like leave my whole heart behind, or even a piece of it? Was I getting a little bit wrapped up and caught up in the physicality of certain things? Yeah, sure. Did I not really want to trust my intuition? Because I'm like, I don't, like, I've been following my intuition for a hot minute now, and I still don't see where it is that you're guiding me. And I got a lot of water in my chart, sure, but I also have air and earth and fire. Like, I need to see it. And Spirit's like, you don't need to see nothing. Just keep going. I'm like, oh my gosh. Fine. But that's what I got. So I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope something in here, if you watch it, I hope it resonates and it helps you out in some way. I hope you're acting in alignment to make the good better, the better great, the great wonderful, the wonderful amazing, the amazing fantastic, and the fantastic miraculous. Because for those who believe in and align with and act in accordance with /2 miracles, miraculous things happen every day. Miraculous things are happening to you right now and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. You'll know it like when you're watching the news, you'll know when it happens. But miraculous things have been in the works this whole time. That's what Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto have been doing, right? And when you come into the space that you come into and you think back on the space that you were in the past, or even who you were as a person in the past, you may look at yourself now and be like, wow, I've actually gone through a miraculous change, because there is no way I would have seen myself on a trajectory to become who I am right now. And we've just barely begun. We've just barely even started. We kind of sort of haven't started at all, because we're still reaching the starting line, but we have made progress from before. So we have started, but we ain't even like started yet. Like if I don't know. There's so much more to unfold, right? It may be a little bit hard to see because we are in kind of dark times right now. But if you can feel it, if you know it's out there, continue to act in accordance and alignment with it, because it will come to be. It will come to pass, and it is going to require you to grow and stretch yourself and evolve and to be better. If you want better, we have to be better. We have to do better, especially if we know better, right? Bye.